Hello everyone, thank you for joining me here again on another episode of Vegan Police TV. This episode I am talking about veganism at work. So hang on, let me adjust the camera a little bit there, maybe bring it a little bit closer, see how that goes. Now one of the things I do outside of here is that I work in the industrial relations arena, so that is dealing with employment standards for employees, making sure that businesses comply with workplace legislation and aren't infringing on the workplace rights of employees. And as part of that, when vegans find out that fellow vegans find out that I do that for a living, that one of the questions that they ask me is, how do they talk about veganism at work? Now, with regards to that, my first response to that is, why would you want to? Now, let me just sort of clarify that a bit. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. What I'm saying is that there should be only certain circumstances where you should actually mention that you're vegan. One of those instances would be where the job that you're doing is that you have to wear, you either have to wear, leather riggers gloves if you're a gardener or something like that, or you have to wear leather boots. If you're, in transport or logistics, so, because in Australia there's the standard that you have to wear, Australian standard compliance shoes, so that is safety shoes with steel caps or protective footwear. If you're in the police force or police service or any other role like that, where part of your uniform is that it might be leather jackets, or it might be wool, or it might be a leather belt. Or things like that. So, in regards to that, I would say that the way you approach that would be dependent on the organisation that you're working for. If you're working in government, then you could sort of, I wouldn't turn around and say that I'm vegan, because most places turn around and view veganism as a personal choice. They don't view it as sort of like, a religious thing where you're protected for that. So the way to get around that, and the way for me, using myself as an example, when I worked for a state government corporation, was that I turned around and said that I'm vegan. I live my life by the Buddhist concepts, or sort of follow the path of Buddhism of doing the least amount of harm possible. And things like that. I can't remember the exact terminology that I used at the time, because it was a number of years ago. But the key word for that at that point within that organisation was that I was Buddhist, and it was that I followed the Buddhist things, because that is about doing least amount of harm. So they're not going to turn around and say, well, hey, no, you have to wear this, you have to wear that, because with the state governments, the way that they are in Australia, they're a bit touchy-feely about religion. And everything like that, so they're more likely to say yes, so they're here. And then I sat down with them and worked out alternative clothes, because there was the option of wool trousers or a poly blend, I think it was poly cotton, blend of trousers. Jackets, the vests and the jumpers were wool. I was able to get permission and get an allowance to purchase microfiber jacket, and sort of like it was a zip-up jacket that I wore, as well as a microfiber vest. So that was allowed, and I was able to get permission for that. The belts that we wore, they did provide us with the leather one. I said no, so what they did was they provided me with the belt buckle, and then I just put that on my own belt. A belt, I think I got the belt from Vegan Wears, and use that. So that was the dress belt, and so there's ways around it with that one. If you're in private, in the private sector, I wouldn't turn around and say that, hey, I'm vegan, I can't wear this, I can't wear that, because from that perspective, you're more likely to, I wouldn't say get picked on or bullied, you're more likely to, to be viewed differently. So if you have to wear leather shoes, or you have to wear leather boots, I would sit down and have a discussion with the manager. If you aren't able to have a discussion with the manager, then sit down and have a discussion with someone that you can, and explain to them that, hey, you don't want to wear leather because, you could say you're allergic to it. You could say that, you don't agree with wearing leather. And then also present to them. So you do all the homework first. You present to them an alternative. So if you have to wear leather shoes, leather safety boots if you're in, transport or logistics or things like that. So present to them an alternative. So if they provide boots for you, then you provide them with an alternative, saying, okay, hey, here's the boots. What I'm prepared to do is you reimburse me for the amount up to what the normal boot was. If it costs over anything more than that, then I'll foot the rest. So you're making it easier for them. So you present all the information. You don't make it harder for them. If you have to wear leather riggers gloves, I'd head down to Bunnings. I think I got mine from Bunnings. There's construction gloves and things like that, where they're alternatives to wearing leather rigger gloves. They're just as good from that aspect. Now, if I know people are going to turn around and say, well, hey, veganism's protected as a human right under Article or Convention XYZ, and it's my right to exercise that. Yes, it is your right to exercise your right to being vegan and to be vegan in the workplace. The thing that you need to remember is that if you push that far, saying, hey, I'm exercising my right under Article whatever it is under the United Nations Convention on Human Rights, what implication is that going to have for you in the workplace? If you turn around and say, well, I'm exercising that right, you're disagreeing against me on the grounds of this belief, then if you do lodge a complaint with the relevant Anti-Discrimination Commission, what are your chances of being successful in there? And is it going to is it going to damage the relationship that you have at work? So for that, I'd be inclined to keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't say anything. If you're in government, if you work for a government body, then you do have a little bit more grounds to play with things, and there is a little bit of an area where you can sort of be a little bit firmer with what you say than you can in the private sector, because government has their little anti-discrimination and equity officers and things like that, so you could have discussions with them about that. So if there is a particular workplace that you are in that you need some advice, please leave a comment below or send me a message, and I'll advise you, as I have done in the past, the best ways that you can do that and bring up that matter within the workplace. Now, predominantly my expertise is in Australia. I can give you suggestions and ways to approach things for other areas, though I'm not sure about the particular employment legislation criteria and all that sort of stuff. As I said, in Australia, if you're providing safety boots that aren't leather based or something like that, as long as they comply with the Australian standards and they fit in with a dress code, so most dress codes say black safety boots, as long as they're black and they're Australian standards, then yeah, you can get away with it. I wouldn't be inclined to push non-Australian standards footwear, because if you do present that and say, hey, yes, this is by the European standard XYZ, and you sort of nudge and you sort of say, hey, well, listen, you have to wear it, and then they say, yes, you can wear it, and then something happens to you, let's say, you drop something on your foot and it crushes one of your toes or something like that, then it leaves the organisation open as well, because you're not wearing a boot that is compliant with the Australian standard, even though they've said yes. So that's a huge minefield on that one. I wouldn't be too inclined to push that. There are a number of Australian standard compliant, non-leather safety footwear that's available on the market these days. Same as cold weather jackets and gloves. They're pretty much, from what I believe, almost everything that there is. I'm not sure about freezer suitable boots, because I haven't worked in that area for a while now, so I can't say that, though. If it does come to it that you do have to wear it because of the nature of your job, that's what you have to do, because then you're doing whatever you can as far as practical. So anyway, that's my thoughts. As I said, leave your comments down below, thumbs up, thumbs down, share, subscribe, whatever else you have to do on YouTube. So yes, I was going to waffle a bit more about presenting it at the workplace. Actually, no, I will. I'll add a little bit quick in now. So how would you actually go talking about veganism? I wouldn't, because depending on the nature of the people that you're talking to, they may view that as something something that puts you as different to them. I know people that have worked in education and expressly said to the relevant supervisors and managers that they're vegan, and that's the avoidance of animal products. When it came time for the birthday parties and the cakes and celebrations and all that sort of stuff, because this person didn't get along with their manager or their direct manager, that the manager sort of didn't work too hard to make sure that this person was looked after with regards to providing a suitable food products. Now, you could push that and turn around and say that yes, that is bullying within the concept of the Fair Work Act or even health and safety legislation, because it happens at work, it is ongoing, and it has a it can negatively impact your safety at work. So that, as I said, that's again same as exercising your rights and everything like that. That's a path that you really need to think about going down. If it comes to the case where they keep doing it, maybe go above their head, and especially if you're in government, go and talk to the equity officers or anything like that. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. If you leave comments and things like that, I might, or I probably will later on, do another episode on this one and giving people a bit more advice on what to do and sort of how to talk about veganism in the workplace if they do feel the need to do it. So anyway, that being said, as I said earlier on, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments, subscribe, share this please, and thank you for watching this episode of Vegan Police TV. And remember, don't fear the vegan police, we're here to help.